So Cortez says that what America is doing on the borders is creating concentration camps. That is such a historically outrageous comment that all I wanted somebody within the Democratic, I don't want it to be Trump, I don't want it to be Mark Golub, I want it to be someone, I want it to be a Pelosi or a Blumenthal or a Cardin to say, Representative Cortez, you're out of line, you're nuts, there's a historical accuracy, a historical reference that you're making that trivializes one of the worst moments, if not the single worst moment in human history.
I think number one, we have seen Nancy Pelosi very publicly call out members of the so-called squad several times. We also don't know what happens behind closed doors.
It has to be in public.
She has publicly called out the members of the squad and dismissed them as irrelevant.
I have seen nobody in the Democratic Party say the use of concentration camps was unacceptable.
So that was going to be what I was going to get to next. I think that there actually is, and I see this from the side of an editor, there's a lot of debate in the Jewish community about the use of that term.
It's crazy then.
And I personally, I think there are valid arguments on both sides of use of that term.
Do you know what a concentration camp was?
I do. We interned Japanese Americans in the United States.
Internment camp is not a concentration camp.
Okay, well,
tell me
one
way in which whatever is being done on the border is like Buchenwald or Auschwitz. Are people being made to work till they die? Are people being denied food?
I don't want to drag this into this level
Are they
here,
given a piece of bread a day?
They're being forced to drink toilet water.
They are not
deplorable.
being forced to drink toilet water.
Okay,
and you heard that from Cortez. You heard that from Cortez.
Everybody that crossed the border did so voluntarily. No Jew ever went voluntarily into a concentration camp. But the Associated Press did some fact-checking on this stuff, and it's not a right-wing organization that there's no cages for kids. A lot of this stuff is just propaganda that has been spoken often enough to assume the weight of fact. But
also, we're in different media universes then, because this is not the reality.
I feel you've been had. And I'm saying something.
I don't want to speak for anyone else.
We feel the same way.
Even if, and I don't believe anyone was forced to drink toilet water, but if that's the worst thing that happens to somebody, it's not a concentration camp. It's just.
And I happen to feel that concentration camp was an inappropriate term to be used.
And I wouldn't even
be debating. And I thought you said that.
What I want to suggest to you is this notion of total silence in the face of outrages from the squad is not, I think, a reflection of the reality.
You think I'm missing it?
I think you're missing it.
Do you think I'm missing it?
No, I don't. But can I just talk about Laura's? I want to be clear when I said shocked, then we come back. So what I said to Laura is like, I can't believe I have to even explain this. But you do know, we all know, we can agree on the numbers. 2 out of every 3 Jews of Europe were killed during Holocaust. 2 out of every 3. I'm sure that Tlaib doesn't know this or she could care less, but that's the numbers. And I will say to you, Laura, Jews deserve to own that term. I don't want to get into this is an internment and that's not an internment, and some moron wrote an article, and I'm using the word moron. Some moron wrote from the Holocaust Museum, I'll say it again, moron, from the Holocaust Museum, actually wrote something to defend this argument. Jews have the right for the iconography. 2 out of every 3 Jews. Concentration camps, barbed wires. If you're going to use train tracks, it only means one thing: Jewish death. It only means one thing. And that's what I don't understand. That's, I think, what Mark is saying, that Jewish adults should be able to stand up and say, no, this is not what this is about. And I don't want to debate the term of art that someone in the Holocaust Museum said you can actually use it in another way. I'm saying you can't. I'm a child of Holocaust survivors. I've written 5 novels about post-Holocaust world. I say you can't. I say we own that. Can we at least own that? 2 out of 3 Jews, all of Europe, were killed. That's what we own. Train tracks, barbed wires, concentration camps, that's ours.
I just want to say she's getting this from Jews. I think I totally hear you, Thane. I think that the legacy of the Holocaust is not something that should ever be diminished. But I also know that the end of the tour of every Holocaust museum I've been to is, how do we keep this from never happening again? I'm not suggesting that we are committing a genocide on our southern border. However, young Jewish activists have been very visibly and very vocally pushing back against conditions in what's happening on our southern border,
There's
who
nothing
are
wrong with that.
children and
There's
grandchildren
nothing
of
wrong with that.
survivors using Holocaust terminology.
Well, they
So
shouldn't, because it is
they're
not.
Jews and they're owning that legacy.
they're
So I think
ignorant-
there's valid
they are
interpretations
ignorant
of that.
Jews. They're ignorant non-Jews. What bothers me is that people who know better, including Eric Yoffie, isn't saying to them, actually you do say it though, you were upset by the term.
I thought
Okay,
the term was
and
an inappropriate term.
Okay, but I would even say to you, I want you to say, by the way, you may be totally against what we're doing on the southern border. And the issue of immigration and how we deal with it is an issue worthy of discussion in my mind. I don't see it as black and white. I see it as very complicated. Very
But
complicated.
concentration
But
camp is black and white.
Yes, but there's no concentration camp. And I know what Cortez was doing. What Cortez was really saying is, it's not a concentration camp, it's that we've got a Hitler in the White House. We got a Nazi in the White House. She says that ICE are Nazis. And I want Jews to say, and here's Eric I want Jews to say, come on, you can be so much against a policy or even a person in public office, but you don't have to distort it. And the last thing you do, you never use sacred words. Anything having to do with the Holocaust is sacred to the Jewish people. And you trivialize everything the minute you call somebody who has to drink from a toilet in a concentration camp